Compliments of the season. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted. Bringing into the news on church stories. I am Oyin Okbala. Let's begin. It's Christmas Eve, a time when people around the world are supposed to be filled with joy, love, and happiness. But for Ambazonians, the reality is far from it. Yesterday, a commercial bike rider was shot dead by La Republic de Cameroon military in the Midland zone of Ambazonia, and two others were taken away by the same forces. These senseless war and violence is a deep reminder of the ongoing war and suffering the people of Ambazonia face every day. The city of Bamenda, where the incident occurred, is still reeling from the shock. The Ntamulong neighborhood, where the bike rider was killed, is a bustling area that usually fills with life and activity, but now is a scene of tragedy and grief. The fact that this happened just a day before Christmas makes it even more heartbreaking. While people in other parts of the world are celebrating with their loved ones, Ambazonians are mourning the loss of another innocent life. But that's not even all. Many neighborhoods in the university town of Buea are without electricity, leaving students, businesses, and residents in disarray. The Atlantic zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, particularly Buea, has been without electricity for months. Can you imagine living without power for that long? It's a basic necessity, I would cry out loud, that we can not take for granted. But for Ambazonians, it's a luxury they can't afford. The situation is even more dire for vulnerable children who are caught in the crossfire of the ongoing war. The La Republic de Cameroon's First Lady's decision to hand out gifts to children of well-to-do families on Christmas Day is a slap in the face of the countless Ambazonian children who are suffering. What about them? Don't they deserve some joy and happiness too? Well, it's a clear reminder of the neglect and abandonment that Ambazonians have faced for too long. As the world celebrates Christmas, Ambazonians are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. They are forced to confront the harsh reality of this situation, with no end in sight to the conflict and suffering. It is a painful reminder that for them, Christmas is just another day of struggle and survival. Talking about the reports on struggle and survival, we would only give you the details of those when we come back for the prime headlines. Well, the prime headlines, we said that yesterday, December 23rd, the commercial bike rider was shot dead by the La Republic de Cameroon military in the Midland zone of Ambazonia. Colonial military abuse claims another life. Corruption crisis in La Republic de Cameroon, the CPDM's dark secrets exposed. Biya's tampering with electronic voting materials is also a report today. Meanwhile, on the African scene, Mozambique's ruling party declared winner amid protests and fraud allegations. On the foreign scene, a Christmas tree gets burnt in Syria. Oh well, let's get into the full briefings. Well, it is an unfortunate situation with many neighborhoods in the bustling university town of Buea without electricity. That has left many students and businesses and residents in this area in the Atlantic zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, precisely the Moyoko, the city's commercial hub and students' residential area. Neighborhoods like Dirty South have been without electricity for months. Dirty South is one of the largest student residential areas and is located just around the University of Buea. Now, this area and many other localities around the University of Buea area have stayed without light. Meanwhile, Ndongo, a popular neighborhood in the city, and Mount 16, Bolifamber have spent months in darkness as well. Areas like Moya only regained electricity supply last Sunday, December 15, after nearly 9 months of blackout. These persistent power outrages have caused widespread frustration, affecting daily life, education, and economic activities. This situation is greatly affecting students preparing for their end of year examinations as the lack of electricity hampers their ability to study. This has forced many to call the different colonial authorities to do the needful for energy to be restored. Oh well, very sad. Christmas without light. How would that taste? We'll only know that feeling from our in-house analyst, Barrister Mbeseha, who is with us here on this special Christmas Eve. Barrister Mbeseha, compliments of the season.
Thank you very much. I'm happy Christmas to all of you. Christmas is less than 12 hours from today. And hope, in spite of all the difficulties, we'll have some fun.
Oh well, what happiness and what fun can come from darkness? I mean, staying without light, staying without power supply. And you know how that works. When there is no power supply, there's likely not to be water. There's likely not to be energy to even watch the TV and some other things that we need light for everything in the modern generation, like in 2024. So how can people have fun in this kind of predicament?
Well, I think the idea, the shortage or the non-availability of energy, electricity, is a common thing in Cameroon. But the absence of electricity around the University of Buea is a special incident. It's a special case to look at. Why? Because the university is a place of learning. At least in the 20th, 21st century learning, you need lights. You need at least basic lights to read. And if there are no lights in a place called a university, what quality of people do you expect to graduate from there? We've long since passed the era where we used to have kerosene lamps, candles. They are no longer available in many places, but they are the order of the day in the University of Buea. And so for 9 months, for a long time, the whole academic year doesn't last up to 9 months. The students have no electricity. By the end of the year, you find people graduating with PhDs, masters. You ask the question, what did they study? What have they produced? Go online and see if you've seen a thesis written by any graduate, any university doctorate degree holder from Buea, published anywhere. There's nothing there, not by accident, because they have no quality of anything there. But the central issue is, why is there no electricity? If they can no longer have electricity from Douala in 2024, what prevents them from putting solar panels there? What prevents them? Is that what they lack? To put in solar energy on the campus. Is that what the whole university lacks? The whole solar panel, one light, it will cost less than 500,000. The university and the whole boy will not even take up to 10 million, maybe 20 million. And we remember that, yes, we remember that a few weeks ago, they were celebrating something in Buea called a cultural festival, where they pumped in a lot of money. That money alone could have put in solar panels in Buea. They choose to do it because they will steal the money. Again, education, especially at the university level without light, is not education at all. She will continue to be in this quagmire. Certainly not. If at least UK was still functional. Okay, just about 20 kilometers from there would have lights there. So why do we have to go through this? What they call the University of Buea, in every standard of it, it's a sham. It's a skeleton of a university without anything to show for. And the students are hovering around there, living in makeshift houses, no lights to study, no water to drink, and you expect them to graduate tomorrow. Of course, you do graduate. It means nothing to them because nobody who graduates even has a job. If you were to have a job, it is not based on any qualification. And so the name university, coupled with the absence of lights everywhere, is an indication that there's something wrong somewhere. Something which we want to right. We must do it until we right those wrongs. Over to you.
Well, we hope that the situation even improves. Barrister Mbeseha, sadly, just yesterday, December 23rd, a commercial bike rider was shot dead by the La Republic Cameroon military in their Midland zone. Well, two others were taken away by the same colonial military forces. The events unfolded in the city of Bamenda, precisely in the Ntamulang neighborhood. The incident occurred around 4 p.m. when the colonial military detained the rider along with two others. Eyewitnesses report that the situation escalated when the deceased attempted to flee from a colonial military truck. As he jumped from the vehicle, security forces opened fire, resulting in his immediate death. Residents heard gunshots shortly after the military took the three men into custody, their hands bound. An eyewitness said in her own words that armed men took them with their hands tied and threw them into a military truck. This man jumped down from the vehicle and started running before they shot him. The victim's body was later found in a gutter near a construction site. At the time of this report, the residents were yet to identify the deceased. They reported to have searched his bag but found no documents to indicate who he was or where he came from. Until this moment, the reasons for their detention remains unclear. For 8 years now, we will continue to say loud and clear that the population of the British Southern Cameroons continues to suffer extrajudicial killings in the hands of their colonizers. La Republic de Cameroon, often without accountability. Meanwhile, the whereabouts of those taken away are yet to be known. Rice and Bexia, remember the day we reported how people or a particular mortuary in Bamenda are asking people to come identify bodies of their loved ones just in case they haven't seen a particular member of their family for a long time. Now, just look at this particular incident. He shoots someone rather than dumping the person in in an organized morgue or something. He's dumped in a gutter. We do not know exactly why he's been killed, but the right things could at least be done so that the family can get the bodies. And these and more are the reasons why we have reports of missing persons on a regular basis. And this is just one of it. Yesterday as well, remember, we reported a case of someone who was shot by La Republic de Cameroon military, and this is another report here. Extremely sad. What would you say about this?
Mm, let me correct something you said. You said we don't know why they are killed. Now we know why they are being killed. They are being killed simply because they are Ambazonians. Simple as that. You don't find soldiers mounting those things in Douala, in Bafoussam, anywhere in any other town, and shooting down people with impunity. So if they're shooting people, again, this is Bamenda. It is simply because they're Ambazonians. That's the simple reason why they're being shot. They are being shot for who they are, not for anything they did. Somebody just driving past on his motorbike, they shoot him. But why is all this going on? Again, this is Bamenda. The central issue is, well, you see, that is the tip of the iceberg. What is going on in Bamenda is going on in other parts of Ambazonia. The only difference is that we're reporting Bamenda because it is nearer to us. It is in the urban center. We cannot get the events. It is being done everywhere. But on a larger scale, what has embarrassed me all the time is you see how our people, some of our people, they go to the so-called government of Yaoundé, the deal with the mayors and whatever, pleading for them to come and build military camps in their villages, to come and house these armed men with them. The peaceful life in the city was not meant to be supervised by people sitting in the street with AK-47s, shooting and killing people with with the arms bought with taxpayers' money, and doing so with impunity. And so, what is the reason for killing these people? Simply because they are Ambazonians. Why are they killing them? Because they want to eliminate Ambazonia. But also on the sideline is Cameroon, as they call it, their so-called army is overstretched. It's overstretched. You don't send somebody to the war front to remain there for 2 years. This Christmas. Those young men in uniform sitting down the streets in Bamenda and anywhere, many other places around, they have their own families. They have wives. They have children. They should go home for Christmas. They are not going. And so out of their own frustration, they can vent it on anybody. And of course, they're free to do it because nobody will punish them for doing what they have just done. I find the people standing there, they are embarrassed. This is in Tamonu, in Bamenda, the city of Bamenda, burning down people with impunity. And then, of course, in the midst of the mayors, the city mayors, the governors, telling everybody around everything has gone back to normal. There's normalcy in their mind, but no normalcy perceived anywhere around Bamenda. There's no normalcy anywhere in Ambazonia. There's no normalcy anywhere in British Southern Cameroons. And so until they are held accountable for these crimes, you continue to do it. You continue to commit them. Up to this point, I'm still to see where they have punished a single military guy who has gone down people like that. They go with impunity. Therefore, it is the order of the day. It has become official. Kill whoever disobeys you. They killed the rider. I remember the oil 3 days ago, or weeks ago. We're analyzing one where they just human on the road and capture them, beat you up, and subdue you to beating and then have sex with you freely, with impunity. And so this has become the thread, business line. They extort money from you when they kill you. They extort pleasure from you if you're a woman that they want to rape. They extort pleasure, just the delight of killing an enemy, of shooting dead somebody whom they consider to be their enemy. And again, the question is asked to our people, some of our people, mostly the politicians who sit in Yaoundé, who sit in Bamenda, Okumba, only big city representing Yaoundé. How many more of our own children shall we lose for you to tell Yaoundé enough is enough? The life of that young man is taken short. We don't know what he could have become. Who tells you that he too could not have become a minister tomorrow, a technician, a pilot, and anything that you can imagine in the world? And so they kill them with impunity. Our brothers and sisters sitting in Yaoundé, this is Bamenda, remember? I think there's a woman there they call Madame Mundi, who lives in Bamenda there, an appointed senator. What account does she give to those people who are not privileged to be senators, who are not privileged to be parliamentarians, whose children are just faking their own lives, driving motorcycles to live? You kill them. The representative of Biya is sitting right there. They clap for you when you kill the boys. And so you call them yourselves a politician. I don't know how Mr. Lele Afrik would feel if that boy or those children captured were his own children. He's an old man with children as old as those young men being killed. What does he feel? That he should shoot them down because their brothers or somebody has said, look, stop the occupation? Because somebody there to tell them we don't want to speak French? You bring in arms and shoot them and kill them. Kill them with the money we contribute. They have, I saw a report somewhere. They said the economy is completely down. And they mentioned that even though the Anglophones, as they call them, constitute only about 20% of the country, but 70% of the economy depends on them, on Anglophones. This is the money from people farming rice, farming cocoyam, farming all those things in Bamenda and paying fees and paying taxes. From people farming cocoa in Dian, people whose timber is being cut from mine and so, and above all, money which is being stolen from Sonara to arm people, to kill your own people. So as we come to the end of the year, and this is Christmas, it should be the question, the homework for the people who claim to represent us in Yaoundé. How many more deaths shall we accept? How much more operations shall we be able to tolerate? Everything inclusive of people having no life. The other day was a student from the University of Bamenda, shot and thrown in the bush. Today we attend the story of the University of Buea without lies. And so the question we must ask ourselves, and by extension to those stooges who go to Yaoundé in any form of shape, how much more shall we take for you to say enough is enough? Over to you.
This is not even all. Still in line with this, a young lady in Douala, of course, Douala is their economic capital of La Republic de Cameroon, has died after being scattered with hot water by her colonial military boyfriend. You can imagine this report, and this is not even all. So you can say that La Republic de Cameroon has remained motionless amid a troubling trend where military personnel act with impunity. They kill theirs as well. They kill theirs as well. And like we said, a young lady in Douala has been killed by her colonial military boyfriend. So the case of Vanessa, who suffered severe burns inflicted by her boyfriend, a certain Ndengui guy, Samuel, a soldier stationed at the Kribi colonial barracks, has sparked widespread outrage. Well, this report says on the 27th of November, after Vanessa refused to engage in sexual relationship, he boiled hot water and poured it over their diseased body where she was asleep before fleeing the scene. Now, from our records, and I mentioned this yesterday, this year alone, over 404 women have been killed in neighboring La Republic de Cameroon and the Federal Republic of Ambazonia by colonial military gendarmes. And of course, Ambazonian women tops the number. So the statistics are rising with the ongoing violence against women. Vanessa's case follows that of the late Sweetie's case, which we did yesterday, a student of Cotec in Bambili, who was kidnapped and her body later on found in a bushy area at the back of her brigade in an advanced state of decomposition. Despite carrying out these abominable acts about a month ago, this Ndengui showed a complete lack of remorse. He took to his social media to dismiss public outrage, referring to critics as stray dogs. But complaints since filed by Vanessa's family at the Bonajo Gendarmerie have gone on and said. This, however, is no strange thing, as there has been a reigning pattern of neglect towards victims of colonial military violence by colonial authorities, and that's already in line with what Barrister Mbeseha has been talking about. So let's move on to selective treatment of vulnerable children. Why would you have selective treatment? Well, the few Ambazonians who think that anything good can come out of La Republic de Cameroon government for them to backpedal, well, it's just unfortunate. With the increasing number of vulnerable children as a result of the ongoing war in Ambazonia, the La Republic de Cameroon First Lady has never shown concern for them. You've never seen her speaking against the war, against anything. It has never been announced. Well, right about now, it's been announced that she will be handing over some gifts to some children, obviously the rich children, wives of prime ministers and the rest. Well, the La Republic, the Cameroon's First Lady Chantal Biya has never extended a hand of help to numerous vulnerable children as a result of this ongoing senseless war that has been going on for 8 years and counting in Ambazonia. But a report of her reaching out to children of the well-to-do in colonial politics Yaoundé is being echoed. The neglect of the vulnerable children in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia by Chantal Biya is only strengthening the narrative that Ambazonian lives don't matter and that La Republic of Cameroon and Ambazonians are different. City towns in Ambazonians like Bamenda, Buea, Mountfay, Kumber are playing host to displaced families from the hinterland. Shelter to many of them is a nightmare, let alone talking of 2 square miles. Many children of such backgrounds have dropped out of school, yet there has never been a gesture from the president's wife, Chantal Beer. There is a press release announcing her visit to a hospital in the colonial political capital of the Republic to Cameroon, Yaoundé, to offer gifts to newborn babies and vulnerable children. As a mother, it is evident, therefore, that she's not, a mother to Ambazonian newborn babies and the vulnerables, but only to La Republic to Cameroon children. This selective treatment is going on under the watchful eyes of some, unrepentant Ambazonians serving the colonial regime in Yaoundé. They must know that the colonial regime has no consideration for them. They must join the fight for the flushing of La Republic of Cameroon and the restoration of the statehood of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Bryce Mbeseha. This is just one out of many reports, and we just realized that we've never heard where, she's voicing out against the girls that are raped, the mothers that are raped and killed, not to talk about the children. In a political landscape, this would not even be accepted. What would you say about this?
Well, I think if I were in Cameroon, that is, if I were back home and had the opportunity, which I would never have in a way, I will go to catch whoever comes in with that nonsense called Chantal Biya's Foundation, whatever gives the gifts. Because it's a criminal junta. Chantal Biya coming to give people Christmas. The first lady, they call her. Why is her foundation only concerned with Christmas? Where was Chantal Biya when they killed those children in Ghana? They were not children. They would not have had Christmas. Where was Chantal Biya when they gunned down children in Kumba? They were not children. Where has Chantal Biya been when schools were burned down all over Ambazonia? She was there. And even without talking about discrimination, where is Chantal Biya? Where was she a few weeks ago? When they had this La Falaise, this terrible earthquake that took so many people dead. Till today, they have not recovered them. What was Chantal Biya doing? Waiting for Christmas? What was Chantal Biya when those floods took over the whole of the Mayo Danai in the far north? People are still swimming in the mud. With their children, their schools were all wiped out. Those children don't have Christmas. They don't need Christmas from Chantal Biya. So what is all this so-called Chantal Biya coming to give people Christmas gifts? Where they are giving them to a select few ministers' children who don't need them. Because as Shirley said, they are giving it to a select few. There are thousands of millions of children of Christmas age. So coming to give bonbon or biscuits to even 50 children is not a solution. Chantal Biya is not even the first lady. Chantal Biya is the vice president. And so she assumed the presidency as we see it. I remember the last summit of the UDAC, where is it UDAC that in the high in only there a few days ago. There was a picture for heads of states, and Chantal Biya was standing there. Other heads of states who came there and government had their wives. There was no other woman there. Chantal Biya stood there as the head of state. And so she is the vice president, even not the active president of Cameroon. And if all this malaise has gone on with the whole country called Cameroon, even including Ambazonia, without the president himself mentioning a word, without his vice president, Madam Chantal Biya, uttering a word of sympathy, why does anyone need him or her at Christmas? Of course, they will do that. The question you ask yourself is, where is she getting the money? Have we ever seen somebody raising funds in the name of Chantal Biya Foundation? No. The money they get is part of the budget. They are budgeted in the Ministry of Finance as a government entity. And where does the money come from? It comes from the When was the last time the people in India, where all the oil comes from? When was the last time they had a bonbon from Chantal Biya at Christmas? They had a biscuit. They had a tin of sardine. Zero. When was the last time John Wood, their prime minister, went to India to offer Christmas gifts to the poor people there? When was the last time they ever went to say they had so many displaced people, internally displaced in Douala, in Yaoundé, and offer them Christmas? Zero. And so this is a total distraction. These people should be charged. They are criminals in civilian clothing. Chantal Biya herself is a criminal. She doesn't want to know where the money comes from. She doesn't care about anybody, other than the one that she steals to go and spend months upon months in Switzerland with her husband. And so we don't even need it. We don't need it. Because whatever thing they come and give someone called Christmas, it's not going to be a consolation for the pains our own children have gone through in the past 8 years, and in fact in the past 60 years. It cannot be a consolation. So we don't need her Christmas gifts. At the very least, we need them when we are in pain. We needed them when the children in Gabu were gone down. We needed them when children were killed in Kumba. We needed them when our schools were emptied of children. We never saw him come to offer an exercise book or pen or pencil. So why do we need her at Christmas? Christmas is a period of rejoicing. But until you join us in weeping, you don't come to us where we want to rejoice. Because we're still wailing, we're still weeping. The tears are still flowing down our eyes. So we don't need anything Chantal Biya, talk less of anything called Biya in Ambazonia anywhere. We don't need them. Let them go away with it. And if God has eyes to see, may the God punish them for all what they are doing to the people of Cameroon in general and the Ambazonians in particular. Over to you.
All right, so talking about the corruption in La Republic of Cameroon, a few days ago, a viral video surfaced online in it which saw Ali Bashel, a member of La Republic of Cameroon's colonial ruling party CPDM, lounging next to a mountain of colonial national ID cards. Well, it appears Bashel, a key player in the Wiener arena, has found a cozy side gig in Electoral Fort. He's allegedly teaming up with colonial police forces and the ELICAM, the body in charge of coordinating elections in La Republic of Cameroon. So the frontline CPDM ruling party finds itself in the hot seat, a culture of corruption that threatens to drown an already inexistent democracy in La Republic of Cameroon has been revealed. Its citizens are fed up and demanding answers, yet the colonial government appears to be too busy ignoring serious issues to notice. The ongoing ID card crisis in their territory only adds salt to the injury. Now, getting an ID card from the colonial master is even harder than finding a needle in a haystack. Thousands of people have been left hanging for over 4 years, very unable to get their national ID cards. This bureaucratic mess would possibly render many unable to vote, access to vote, which is what they are looking for at this point. And this access gives crucial services or even land a job amid La Republic to Cameroon's crumbling economy and crumbling attitude. Well, critics believe that Bashar's antics are just a glimpse into the CPDM's playbook of electoral fraud. Marius Kamcho, one of the opposition leaders of the Biya regime, is calling for urgent investigation. But let's be honest, what are the chances that the mischievous government will actually do something? They have been masters at dodging accountability for years. With elections getting close, the demand for change is getting louder. Maybe this time the colonial government will give a listening ear, or maybe they will just continue their game of political hide and seek. But that's not even all. We also got this report where Biya is tampering with La Republic to Cameroon's Electoral Council, which is a clear case of colonial government fraud and corruption. We're going to merge these two. On the 20th of December 2024, La Republic de Cameroon's colonial president, appointed two new members to the Electoral Council of Cameroon, the ELICAM. Some have termed these appointments as illegal. Curiously, the newly appointed members, Mbochu Zijan Bernard and Charles Nganga, have strong ties to the ruling Colonial CPDM ruling party. Now, critics have remarked that these appointments are clear violation of the Colonial Electoral Code, which is meant to ensure integrity in the electoral process. Well, according to Article 10 of the said code, the Electoral Council must operate with impartiality and objectivity. The idea that these appointees can cut ties with the CPDM and still meet this requirement is highly unrealistic. Article 2, subsection 2 of the same code specifies that council members should be selected based on competence, moral integrity, and neutrality. Many, however, have pointed out the fact that neither Mbauchu nor Nanga has shown these qualities. So, this calls into question the legitimacy of their appointment. Critics are expressing their concern that political loyalty was prioritized over legal standards in Biya's bias selection. Furthermore, Article 12, subsection 3 requires the president to consult with political parties and civil society before making appointments. Yet, reports indicate that many parties were left out of this process. Meanwhile, the public is demanding transparency and accountability in governance. But however, this feels like a circus ride, as a deep-rooted trend of fraud and corruption within the colonial government will have a long way to go. Barrister Mbeseha, the two reports, you can merge the two of them and see what's going to happen in 2025. I mean, this is what has been going on. Few days appointment did not meet the constitutional requirement, but no one can say anything.
Well, I think the problem we make all the time, Cameroonians may, not us, is that they think that there's something called constitution or something called legality in that country. You see, what is going on it fascinates people, right-thinking people. It's not an investigation. What that Bashir was doing, it's not something that they leaked that here. Voter cards, identity cards in his house. It's not leaked. It was not something secret. He sits out there publicly and displays those things publicly, which is illegal, totally illegal. What is Camto asking for an investigation to do? So what happened with that gentleman with those cards? And following the same story with the appointment of people into election. He just appointed, they are telling you, the voters of Cameroon, that you are not going to win. The machine is already functional. There's no way you would win. And so the name election is orchestrated. It's a fraud of the minority over the majority. And so they are going to win the elections. The so-called election, where it appoints to or by illegally or constitutionally, is irrelevant. That thing has 18 members. Half of those members in the whole country called Cameroon belong to the Bulu clan people. The two were appointed come from his region. To add to Atangana, who comes from Mbamayo and others. So how do you put an election organization body in that type of situation where you have such a fraudulent attempt to win elections? They are not afraid of doing anything. When the man displayed those voter cards publicly, he's not afraid of anybody. And then County is calling for someone to go and investigate. To investigate what? And who will go to investigate? Election fraud has always been in Cameroon forever, since they started something called the multi-partisan elections in 1992. So what is the difference now? Absolutely no difference. They have been winning the elections long before before the date of the election. They have won. Since 1992, since 1990 is when they introduced multi-partisan. They have been winning in advance before the elections have been held. That will not change tomorrow. They know that 2025 is an election year, at least of the president. And the country is owned by the president. Once you have a president there by their own constitution, he can do and undo. And so what they call a constitution there is a document they produce by themselves, by Joseph Wana, another Bulu Kangma, to protect their clan. So be it. And so there's nothing called constitutionality in Cameroon or legality in Cameroon. You and me, we just talked a few minutes ago about people being arrested. We talked yesterday of a woman being detained in prison for doing nothing wrong in Buea there. We talked a few minutes ago of people being shot in the street. And may I just add this? You gave an example. There have been the same thing is spread over Cameroon. They kill people. The soldiers kill people. But there's a difference. Because that young woman who was killed by the boyfriend, at the very least, the gendarmes came there and arrested him, pretending that he's committing a crime. That's never happened in Ambazonia. When they kill you, in fact, they are decorated for doing it. And so, what the election guy, that primitive man sitting there with those things, he's not doing it in error. He's put it out there. He's filming himself. He's videotaped himself with those things there to show the world, not just coming to show the world that nothing is going to change by the ballot box. Absolutely nothing. And the president who can barely see, if he sees at all, who can barely take his pen if he still signs anything, follows a decree appointing people into Electoral. The very Electoral, that just 2 months ago, they purported to disqualify 120,000 voters in an area in Yaoundé or Douala. That was the stronghold, that is the stronghold of Kamto. Blatantly, even though the colonel they have registered it, they can register your name there, and that day you will not have a voter card. Your name can feature there, and that day you will not have an identity card to vote. How will you vote? Is it by error? No. More commands who makes identity cards is Mbaraga, one of them. He knows that without identity card you will not vote, so he will not give you one. The machine that produces the voter's card belongs to them. And so they're simply telling the world at large, and Cameroon in particular, that come 2025, like it or not, the criminal junta will continue. Biya, alive or dead, if he dies, his wife will continue it, or his son, or his daughter. But since he's not going to die, he's going to do what he likes. And so Paul Kamto and other people float political parties over there and call them democracy. There's no democracy there. It's a fraud. Nothing will change in Cameroon through the ballot box. The only option left, which is almost impossible for you people, is a revolution. You have to wipe away all those people. Because that's what takes the criminals out from the roots, not from the top. If you keep up here, the Ngongo, the Shanta, and the rest are still there. So only revolution can clean away all that nonsense, which revolution is not coming. And so, as far as we are concerned as Ambazonians, we have lived there too long. We have borne too much of this nonsense. And so, as far as Ambazonia is concerned, they can fraud the election. We have nothing to do with it. We should fight our way out. Let us get ourselves out. Organize elections the way they are supposed to be organized. Just like they were organized in 1959. Foncha was able to defeat Indele, and Indele gave up the power. That's how elections are run. That's how we were. That's what we're fighting for. And so, sharing us what we've seen now is just a lesson for us to take home. That, in fact, there's never been an election in Cameroon. Calling at the presidency, absolutely no elections. I just mentioned Madame Mundi a few minutes ago. Madame Mundi is supposed to be a senator. How did she get to the Senate? She's appointed. He appointed legislators by their own constitution. And so that is not where we belong. God willing, we'll get out of it and be a country for many other African countries to emulate in terms of democracy. Over to you.
Barrister Mbeseha. Hopefully, other countries will emulate. Right, this is where we'll draw the curtains for today from your own section. And we hope that tomorrow you would have yourself a very Merry Christmas. And of course, a prosperous new year. This is also appreciating you for, always being a major part of Undaunted Analysis, where you bring your professionalism to book. And we appreciate all of your deep thought analysis and your love for ABC Undaunted TV. Thank you so much, and this is wishing you and yours Merry Christmas and, of course, a prosperous New Year.
Thank you for having me and wishing you the same Christmas and New Year in advance. I'm happy to tell you that I'm taking a month's break. I'll not be available until end of January. Over to you and have a good day and happy
All
Christmas.
right. So sad. Of course, we must say we will miss you, but then you deserve all of the break. I mean, you've worked hard, and so we say you can take the break. And so when you return in January, we definitely love to see more of you. As Undaunted, we definitely not want to miss any path of barrister theme Mbeseha. All right, coming up right after the break will be news across Africa and, of course, across the globe. Mozambique's ruling party declared winner amid protest and fraud allegations. Mozambique's top electoral court has just confirmed the ruling Freelimo's party's winning the country's recent election, and this has sparked a lot of controversy and fears of more protests. The opposition, led by Venancio Mondlane, has been crying foul, claiming that the election was rigged in Frelimo's favor. They have even released their own parallel count, which shows Mondlane winning with 53% of the votes. The situation is pretty tense, with protests already breaking out across the country. The police have been using force to disperse the crowd, and there have been reports of injuries and even death. The international community is also weighing in, with the European Union and the US State Department expressing concern about the electoral legitimacy. The Freelimos Party has been in power since 1975, and the opposition is saying that they have been used to their power to manipulate the election. The party's leader, Daniel Chapo, has been declared the winner, but the opposition is refusing to accept the result. They are calling for a recount or even a new election, and they are promising to continue protesting until their demands are met. It's really a complex and sensitive situation, and it's hard to say what's going to happen next. But one thing is for sure, the people of Mozambique are not going to give up without a fight. They are demanding justice and fairness, and they are not going to let the ruling party get away with what they see as a stolen election. The situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo is absolutely devastating, with a staggering 25.4 million people facing food security and insecurity, including 13.2 million children who are struggling to get enough to eat. To make matters worse, 7.3 million people are currently displaced, with 3.7 million of them being children who have been forced to leave their homes due to conflict and violence. The humanitarian crisis in the DRC is one of the worst in the world, and it's heartbreaking to think about the millions of people, especially children, who are suffering every day. Now, getting into the conflict in DRC more, the conflict in the eastern province of the DRC has led to a significant increase in displacement, with over 2.8 million people forced to flee their homes since March 2022. The situation is further complicated by the fact that many rural communities have had to abandon their fields, leading to a 25% decline in food production in certain areas. As a result, people are struggling to access basic necessities like food, water, and shelter. And it's not just the numbers that are alarming, but also the stories of individuals who have been affected by the crisis. For example, Akili Mali Zamo Mipar Emmanuel, a 37-year-old father of four, was forced to flee his home village due to the war and is now living in a makeshift site. He is participating in a program that provides access to safe and clean water, but many others are not lucky. The international community needs to step in and step up to its response in this crisis, as the current finding is only covering 28% of the needs. Organizations like the Concern and the DRC Red Cross are working tirelessly, to provide essential aid, including food, water, and shelter to those affected. However, more needs to be done to address the root causes of the crisis and to support millions of people who are struggling to survive. News across the globe comes up next. Tensions have risen in Syria's capital city of Damascus as protests broke out in Christian neighborhoods following a disturbing incident in which a Christmas tree was intentionally set on fire by unidentified men in another town on Monday evening. The senseless act of vandalism has sparked outrage and concern among Christian communities who are already feeling vulnerable and marginalized in a country that has been ravaged by years of conflicts and sectarian violence. The protests, which began in Christian neighborhoods of Damascus, reflects the deep-seated fears and anxieties of the community who are worried about their safety and security in the face of such incidents. The burning of the Christmas tree is seen as a symbol of hatred and intolerance and has raised concerns about the growing trend of sectarianism and extremism in the country. As the situation continues to unfold, it is essential that the Syrian authorities take immediate action to investigate the incident, identify the perpetrators, and bring them to justice. The government must also take steps to reassure the Christian community of their safety and security and work towards promoting greater understanding, tolerance, and respect for minority rights. The international community must also condemn these senseless acts of vandalism and express solidarity with the Christian community in Syria. The burning of a Christmas tree is not just an attack on a symbol of the Christian faith, but also an attack on the values of diversity, inclusivity, and respect for human rights that are fundamental to any peaceful and stable society. As the world celebrates the festive season, it is a reminder of the challenges and hardship faced by many communities around the world, including the Christian communities in Syria, the abandoned community in Ambazonia. It is essential that we stand together in solidarity and support and work towards creating a more just and peaceful world for all. Reports from Israel says Israel uses AI in Gaza and what it might mean for the future of the warfare. Well, the use of AI in warfare is a highly complex and sensitive topic, and its application in the Gaza Strip is no exception. Israel's use of AI-powered systems such as the Gospel and Lavender to identify and target suspectful and suspected militants has raised significant concerns about the potential for civilians, casualties, and the ethics of using automated systems to make life or death decisions. These systems are designed to analyze vast amounts of data, including phone records, surveillance footage, and other intelligence to identify potential targets. However, the accuracy of this system is not always guaranteed, and there have been reports of mistakes and misidentifications. The use of AI in warfare also raises important questions about accountability and transparency. When automated systems are used to make decisions about what to target and when, it can be difficult to determine who is responsible when things go wrong. This lack of accountability can lead to a lack of trust in the use of AI in warfare and can undermine efforts to develop more effective and human military strategies. Furthermore, the use of AI in warfare can also exacerbate existing power imbalances and create new risks for civilians. In the case of the Gaza Strip, the use of AI-powered system has been criticized for disproportionately affecting Palestinian civilians who may be mistakenly identified as militants or caught in their crossfire. The lack of access to similar technology for Palestinian forces can also create a significant disadvantage, making it difficult for them to defend themselves against Israeli attacks. It's worth noting that the use of AI in warfare is not unique to the Gaza Strip and is being explored and used by many countries around the world. However, the specific context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, with its long history of violence and occupation, makes the use of AI in this region particularly sensitive and contentious. In terms of specific AI system used by Israel, the Gospel and Lavender, they are just examples of the many systems being developed and deployed. These systems are designed to analyze vast amounts of data, identify potential targets, but they are not foolproof and can make mistakes. The use of these systems also raises important questions about the role of human judgment and oversight in the decision making process. Overall, the use of AI in warfare is a complex, multifaceted issue that requires careful consideration and debate. While AI has the potential to improve the accuracy and effectiveness of military operation, it also raises important concerns about accountability, transparency, and the potential for civilian casualties as the use of AI in warfare continues to evolve. It's essential to prioritize transparency, accountability, and the protection of human lives. And that's where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Undaunted. Before we go, we'll give you the major highlights of our reports of today. Well, tonight on Undaunted, we told you that inhabitants of different neighborhoods of Buea are in agony with prolonged blackouts. We also told you that yesterday, December 23rd, a commercial bike rider was shot dead by the Republic to Cameroon military in the Midland zone of Ambazonia. We also talked about the numerous colonial military abuse as they have claimed the lives in Ambazonia. Talked about the corruption crisis in La Republic to Cameroon, CPDM dark secrets as it got exposed. Biya's tampering with La Republic of Cameroon's Electoral Council, which was a clear case of colonial government, was another topic on tonight's discussion. On the African scene, we talked about Mozambique ruling party declaring winner amid protests and fraud allegations. While in Syria, a Christmas tree gets burnt and Christians in the area wonder how the Christmas will look like. And that's all we have for you on tonight's edition of The Undaunted. Remember the reason for the season and celebrate wisely. We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night, God bless, and have a Merry Christmas in advance.